everything I hope to be. I am one step closer to the finish line. I know that every stride will lead me to my destiny, and I'm one reach away from taking what is mine. I believe that I'm unstoppable. I believe I've only just begun. I will conquer, I will fly, reach my peak, I will. And there's nothing that can ever bring me down. I believe that dreams are attainable. And I believe that wings were made to fly. I'll touch the sky, reach for the stars, do the impossible. I believe that nothing can. I believe that nothing will. I believe nothing will ever bring me down. Oh.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. All right, once again, I just want to say thank you for joining. My name is John Iromo, and welcome to the Roundtable Talk. The Roundtable Talk is just a platform where we come together and just rub minds. We just come together and talk about things that affect us. And if I'm correct, this is the sixth version we're having this year, and it's been very, 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 very exciting. It's been very, very exciting. It's been productive. We've gotten good feedback, and it's been wow. Now, today we're talking about stress and mental health, and we're having somebody talking to us about that, Progress Oladimeji. Now, just if you can hear me, I just want to confirm everyone on this call can hear me. Just type 111 in the chat box just to confirm you can hear me. Just type 111 in the chat box. I'm expecting other persons to join us. Yeah, I'm expecting other persons to join us. All right, great. Just confirm you can hear me. Just type 11 in the chat box. Let me be sure you can hear me. Hear me? Okay, great, 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 great. Thank you very much. Let me do a bit of an introduction. I'm going to allow Progress to introduce herself. However, before I do that, I just want to say the issue of stress and mental health is something that is being downplayed in this part of the world, but recently, in the past few years, it's becoming an issue, right? People are becoming more aware of that. However, the word stress is something that is very, very common. You hear people say, oh, I'm stressed, oh, I'm this. We'll be hearing more about that today. We'll be asking a couple of questions. Just prepare your questions. We have someone with us that will handle all of that. All right, without much ado, I'll just hand it over to Progress. So please just a round of applause for our host, our speaker this evening, our speaker. So could you just tell us a bit about yourself, Progress? Thank you for joining us this evening. Just tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Progress Larry Oladimeji, and I'm a life enthusiast, and I have huge interest in mental health and all that relates to mental health. Like Jonah has said, mental health is something we do not rate, we do not pay attention to. So I also had to find my way to the point where I could actually garner things that could help me through the mental health challenges I had through the journey of my life. So relatable. I want to believe that it's an evening where we all just get to talk, and then we see things we can use to run through day-to-day life and deal with common mental health issues that, if not properly attended to, could actually break down into other crises. So for the purpose of today, it's just fine calling me Progress. As we go on, we'll talk more.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Absolutely. Yes, it's an informal session. There's no big deal about it. If you have any question, just drop it in the chat box, or you can raise up your hand. We'll attend to you while we'll ask. I'm in charge here while we'll ask the questions. It promises to be insightful. It promises to be exciting. And I know definitely somebody is going to get an answer here this evening. So the first, at the top of my list here, I have a couple of questions which I want to ask you. And the first here is, now the word stress is something that is very, very, very common. I've had in the time past to talk about stress in the workplace. I've talked about stress in the past. And now, what is stress? As in, just tell us, when you say I'm stressed, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It's a commonly used word. What exactly is stress? What about this thing we call mental health? What is it all about? Just give us like a bit of an introduction, a brief as to what it is. Then we'll begin to take it up from there gradually. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jonah. The truth is that stress could be good or bad. It's important we note that. And yes, there's good stress, there's bad stress. But I think for purpose of knowing, it's important we define what stress is. Okay. So whatever alters your balance could pose as stress. So we could then define stress to be something that affects your mental stability, whatever pressures you, or introduces some form of tension to you as an individual could be stress. Now, at what point do we begin to get worried about stress? It's when it begins to produce adverse effects, when it begins to produce unpleasant results. And at that point, we begin to pay attention to stress. So we would say that stress is a state of when your mental stability is disrupted, either as a result of life events, environment you find yourself, things you're doing at that point. At that point, we call it stress. Now, the effect it does to you is what defines if the stress is good or the stress is bad. So now, maybe someone is asking, at what point do you call it a good or bad stress? So I won't go into details now. Let the questions generate the kind of response I'll give to the question. But a good stress could either be a stress that lets you know that I need to withdraw. It's like the signal your body gives to you, and then it gives you a signal. You respond to that signal. You're sleepy because you have overworked yourself. Now, the stressor at that point now could be you feel so sleepy, sluggy, and you can't do anything. You get to sleep. But there is a stress that could actually take sleep away from you. You are worked up, you're tired, you're mentally drained, you can't do anything, you can't sleep, you can't rest. So at that point now, this same stress is beginning to produce some form of adverse reaction that you need to pay attention to. So stress could be good, stress could be bad, but you need to be able to identify when this stress becomes too much and your body can no longer deal. Because the truth is that at every point, the body needs a bit of push. The humans need a bit of push. The natural response is for us to want to stay around the comfort zone, do things that makes it easy for you, do things that are easy for you. But a little push here is what you actually need to achieve those results. So those stress may not be harmful to you, but a stress now that begins to take away the wellness or the mental stability of an individual is now it can now be termed as a bad stress. And at that point is what being paid attention to.
Absolutely profound. Now, it's kind of a bit of a twist here now, right? Now, you said adverse effects. Stress could be good, stress could be bad, right? So it means that I could be going through some nice things in life, right? I could have a very fantastic job, right? And doing favorably well at it, and it gets to a point whereby what I'm doing is actually good, but now the effect on me, it's now telling on me, right? So at that point, I can say I'm stressed. However, surprisingly, it's very, very funny that we're in a country whereby, especially when you're in Lagos, you literally go out on a daily basis, you come back and you just wish that you can be out of that environment, because over the years, you just discover that that good thing that you think you're doing to yourself, going to work, coming back from when a lot of persons do not have job, has just become is could also have an adverse effect on your health or on you. So basically, I think from what you've said, the key word there is negative, or the adverse effects, the ripple effect it has on you that might not be good
Yeah.
for you. Then it now graduates to a point whereby it begins to affect your mental stability. Fantastic. That's profound. Now I'm taking those points down because I'm going to summarize at the end for those that will join
Yeah.
later on. All right. So now, how do I now know that I'm getting close to a mental breakdown? Because surprisingly, some of the things that
Okay.
actually lead
So
to this negative effect might be good. Do you get? I might be doing something worthwhile, right? I might actually be progressing. But at the end of the day, somehow it could just be having a negative effect on me, which everybody is seeing me and they are telling me, oh, come on, ride on, you're doing a good job. But within me,
Mhm.
I'm dying, kind of. So, how do I know I'm
Mhm.
getting close to a mental breakdown?
Now, the wiring of the body is like a machine.
Mm.
You know, I don't know so much about cars, but I know that for a car, there is a radiator, there is oil, there are tires, there is steering, and all of that. And each of these things work together to actually help you have a good car.
Mm.
So if there is no water in your radiator, the engine overheats. And one of the ways you get this is that when you look at the temperature, it rises. I hope I'm right, Jonah, because
You're
it
doing
looks
well.
like
You're
there's a
doing well.
bias towards men for cars and women. then if your oil is dry, it knocks your engine.
Absolutely.
Right. So now when it comes to the human body,
Mm.
the body actually gives signals.
Mm.
It does. And some of the telltale signs that you may actually get to know that you're stressed up is that maybe activities that normally you would do them, effortlessly. Errands you would run in good time. Tasks or initiative or reasoning or even effort you put into a thing, it begins to decline. Your body is telling you something. Now, for some people, it could come as slight headaches. You sleep and wake up in the morning, you have that giddy feel. You have the woozy feeling. Your head ache. You have pains all over your body. And even in some cases, you have loss of interest to even want to get out of that bed. And this is even actually after a night's rest, so to say. It's a good time to begin to pay attention to yourself. Do I need a break? Do I need to slow down? Do I need to ask for help? Do I need to take things a little more slowly or slower? So the body always speaks. It is now left for the owner of the body to listen. And at the point where it begins to tell, even beyond the owner of the body, is when people begin to see you maybe after a long weekend or a holiday, and you are back to work or back to whatever it is you do, and people are saying, you look so tired. You have eye bag. Why are your eyes red? Why are you groggy? Why are you irritable? Why are you slow to respond? Why are you not even, like, you drift off in the middle of a conversation? You can't focus, you can't pay attention. And these are things people begin to observe now. Maybe people are telling you, oh, Jonah, what's the problem? You don't seem sharp. You don't seem to have slept well. At that point now, it's moving away from even just you hearing your body to other people saying some of these things. Now, at the point where the body is giving you those signs, it's a good time to slow down and react. And reacting now is identifying what you need to do. So when I teach mental health, I call them the survival kits. What are your survival kits that you use in responding to moments of either distress, or when you are not working optimally, or you don't just feel yourself? So in the normal street parlance, you will hear things like, I know they feel myself. Or I don't just feel all right, So these are times you just slow down and ask yourself, what do I need to do to revitalize, to recalibrate, or what are the things I need to do to get back and be able to deliver on my job? So it's not just enough to say that, oh, I'm the best hand on this job. If I don't do it, no one else will. Well, I'm sorry. You're not the best hand. You won't be the only best hand they can ever get. And there is always room for replacement. So there is no such thing as, if I don't do it, no one else will do it. So we need to get to that point whereby we can understand our body. And I always even advocate, do not wait for your body to tell you. Know when to draw the lines. So the idea is that an average adult should have nothing less than 6 to 8 hours rest. I didn't say sleep, because I know that's another discussion for another day. I didn't say sleep, but 6 to 8 hours rest. So rest could just even be that being in a fixed state of meditation, not stressing yourself over anything, but just being calmly with yourself to, re-get yourself.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. It's getting interesting because as you were speaking, more questions are coming up in my mind. You said early signs, right? Lack of focus. I just woke up from sleep and I feel like not even
Very tough.
getting out of bed. I don't feel like doing anything, and I've just finished. I just woke up from an 8-hour sleep. Now you said those are early signs. Now, and you also just recommended that we need 6 to 8 hours of rest. Now, in a situation whereby you're feeling that already, and you know the conditions, the living conditions that you have in Lagos, sometimes some people barely actually have 6 to 8 hours of rest. How do you balance that?
Okay. So I know that Lagos is quite a busy place, and there are even people who don't live in Lagos that still undergo stress. So it's not even just limited to Lagos. So let's also be fair to our listeners who may not stay in Lagos, but are also going through stress, either because they have long hours to work, or they need to travel from one point to the other because of the nature of their job. So now, in managing stress, is, I think, what I tell people, self-awareness is key. And you need to sit with yourself and take an audit of your life and your time. So if you are one who has to wake up early, I would recommend you sleep early. Please. This life is a long haul. It's a long walk. It's not a dash. It's not a sprint. So you can't, it is how you get to use your body now that determines how the body serves you later. Like I said, the body is like a machine. Wear and tear would always happen to the body. So you need to treat your body nicely so that the body can serve you much later. So there is no award for most stressed human being. There's none. Right, there's no award. So as a human being, when you take an audit of your life, you want to understand what does your job take away from you. So if your job is one that is quite demanding, I will tell you to cherish every moment you have to sleep, or every moment you need to rest. So one example is, if you know you run 8 to 5, that takes about 9-10 hours away from you already. You have just 14 left, and possibly maybe you spend another 5 hours in traffic, going and coming. Maybe you have just like 9 hours left. You need to sit with yourself and tell yourself, how many of that 9 hours do you want to give to yourself? And if you're kind to yourself enough, you'll be able to map out your timing well. There is no such thing as there is no time. I will tell you that no time is actually a sign of poor management of time. I tell you that for free. And there are so many things you can do to actually rest. I wouldn't know if this is a good time to talk about it, but maybe when we go on, we'll continue to talk about some of those things that could help. But I would cite a typical example of myself. My phone is most often time on silence. And so I have times where I just want to stay away from my phone. And of course, I would do this at times when I know that it's supposed to be my rest time, such that no call is startling me up. Nothing is taken, because I always use the Stephen Harvey's goose and the golden egg analogy. You need the goose to be in good state for the golden eggs to be produced. So if I am not in a sound frame of mind, I can't even give you a good therapy. I can't. So you need to be an individual who, I've said, audit your time, audit your life. In auditing, you will know what time is yours, the one that is for your employer, and the one that is for other people. Probably there are parties, there are all of that. Honestly, you are not sliced bread. You don't have to be everywhere. So there are some invites that you will turn down, not necessarily because you wouldn't want to be there, but it's about your scale of preference and prioritizing yourself. So if I know I had a very busy week and I've not had a good time to rest, I will turn down every other invitation, and I will take time to nourish myself and rest. So in nourishing is doing every other thing that can help you recuperate. Nourishing for some people could be reading a book. It could be listening to some podcasts. It could be listening to some TED Talks. It could be, just do whatever that helps you to refuel, So that's why I said, I used the word rest. I didn't say sleep, because sleep, again, could differ in people. But there are people, you could meditate, you could take time off to just want to be by yourself. It's called me time. And that on its own help you to do some self-care activities that ends up helping you to get on track and fit yourself back into the system. But also remember, when we're talking earlier, Jonah, we talked about good and bad stress.
Yeah.
I would also be quick to say that some stress has become so chronic, either there are some underlying issues that could be causing the stress. And some of these interventions we are mentioning may not necessarily provide a lasting result to that. At that point now, you may need help. And so beyond doing all of these examples, because there are a whole list of things you can actually use to distress, distressing, not distress. Now, there could also be a time that you may actually need professional intervention, either from a therapist, a psychotherapist, or even a doctor, because some people could actually battle insomnia, that's inability to sleep. And when the body suffers a long lag of not being able to sleep, there are tendencies that there will be a breakdown, like serious breakdown that could lead to other health issues or mental health issues that we may not even touch for today's talk.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that feedback. Let me just reiterate what you've said. Now, one thing that came out clearly from what you've said is self-awareness. You must know when you need to stop. Am I correct? You must actually know when you need to stop. Some people, you just feel there is, like you said, no award for the most stressed human being. Nobody is a superhuman. Nobody is a superhuman. And never you ever think that you can actually do everything. If you are a senior manager here, or you are playing at a very high level, I think that's one point where you now begin to delegate. You just begin to push it aside, allow other people to do the stuff for you. You also said self-audit. Fantastic. That's something that just came out clearly earlier, even before we joined the Zoom call. I was in another meeting and that came out clearly, where you just need to do some form of self-evaluation. You just, at the end of the day, look at yourself, look at what you have done, look at what is being beneficial, what's not being beneficial, what you need to put aside, what you need to engage in. That is critical. Now, however, it's surprising, or may I state at this point, that we just kind of live in an environment whereby sometimes a lot of persons pay less attention to themselves. I think that a lot of persons pay less attention to themselves. And I think one of the reasons why we came up with this, because we felt people just need to be educated, people need to be aware that you need to begin to pay attention to yourself, self-audit, know where you can stop, know where you need to draw the line. Then you also said there is nothing like no time. That came out very clearly. Now, if you're saying no time, what that means is you've not actually, it's not important to you. Whenever, I think, and I'm learning that gradually, when somebody tells you, oh, I don't have the time, what comes out clearly is that that is not important to you. Because if it's important to you, you will definitely create time for that stuff. Yeah. If it's important, you definitely create time for it. Now, lastly, you said there is a difference between rest and sleep. Rest and sleep. And while you are resting, it could be you are engaging in something that just makes you relax. It could be reading, it could be watching a movie, it could be anything. Just helps you to rest. Now, for some people that are on the higher end, which we could call them workaholics or thereabout, they might just feel that having that me time is a waste of time. No. Having a me time is not a waste of time. Though sometimes the activities around you might not permit you to do sort of this. But now that's where you need to now be deliberate about engaging in healthy habits. Now that takes me to my next question, which is I think in the course of your of speaking, I think you might have answered this, but let me just ask that: what's one small step I can take right now to deal with stress and anxiety?
Okay, so like I said, stress is part of us. Stress is what makes us get up in the morning and push the hustle and make the money, hit those goals and all of that. We need to push a bit. But for every human being, like I said, the survival kits are some of the things I prescribe to people. And at times you could just take a deep breathing exercise. It's very harmless. It can be done anywhere. It can be useful for everything. It takes care of that anger, that outburst, that frustration and all of that. And interestingly, you can do it while sitting on your seat. Nobody even knows what you're doing, So maybe before we get there, the self-awareness thing is something you need to know. I was having a conversation with a friend earlier and was asking me, oh, this thing, this program you're having, I was trying to just brief him one or two things about it. And then I said that you need to know yourself. So you hear things like business is not for everyone. Yes, true. But at some point in your life, you may need to transact business, not necessarily because you're a business person, but because it's something you just need to do to survive at that point. But even in that, you need to identify the business that works for you. Some businesses will kill you earlier before the hunger kills you. Because you know not your way into the city. You don't know what it entails. You just jumped on it because every other person is doing it. Some people have a very long threshold for patience. They can take everything. While some people, at the sight of disrespect like this, they've gone crazy. So self-awareness is the first part to identifying what your stressors are. What is that thing? What stresses A may not stress B? So one tiny step everyone listening must do is, what are your triggers? Identify them. So a self-awareness for you is auditing yourself and knowing what is a no-no for you, what is a deal breaker for you, and what is I can deal for you. Now, after identifying that...
Sorry to cut you short there. I think it will be unfair to our listeners if at the end of the day, we are actually unable to help them know how to carry out this self-audit or self-awareness. Can you, before you continue, or maybe at the end of what you're saying, can you just give us what I need to do to become self-aware? I think that will help us.
Okay, I will. One of the first things I would encourage is a personality assessment. There are a lot of them online. But I think one of the most reliable is the 16 Personality by Briggs. I think Myers-Briggs or so now. Just Google 16 personalities. They have really very well audited personality assessment. That helps you to know your type of person and what works for you. So when you see yourself behave in certain ways, you just know that, okay, it's my personality, and your personality also drive the kind of businesses or the kind of things you engage in. And if peradventure you even find yourself in places you truly do not enjoy, you can still find your way around it because life is about survival. Now, Self-awareness tests too are also online. There are a lot of free of them. I may not recommend any, just there are quite a lot of them online. Do a self-awareness. It helps you to know the kind of things you should know about you, the kind of self-care activities you could give to yourself to nourish and nurture you. So some people have identified that, oh, they love nature. Nature is very healing for them. It's very, refreshing for them. Please explore all the nature you can. Some people love meditation and they've, keyed into that. So some people don't even know the things that works for them. So it's a good time to begin to find that thing or those things that would actually work for you. So the assessment test is out there. A lot of them out there. You can take them. Just do a self-awareness or self-assessment. You will find a lot. You find a lot of them. But I encourage everyone to start with a personality assessment. And the 16 personalities is still one of the best in the world because it has been tested and compared with other tests out there, and it's been seen to be one of the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, you talked about stressors. Now, what can easily trigger you? I think that comes out very, very clearly because we are all, just like you said, different personalities. What triggers A might not necessarily trigger B. So we need to understand what triggers us. I think that will be very, very, very helpful. Now, let's take it a little bit further, right? Now, we also know that there are extreme cases of people that have been stressed, right? And or people that are definitely. At what point would you say that? Okay, let me ask this first. There are definitely people that are stressed, people that are experiencing these mental breakdown, all of that. Who might be of help? Are there special persons that we could actually speak to or call on that could assist when people are going through some of this stress and all of that?
So yes, there are, and at times it's not even as far-reaching as we think. I would say that the first point of call to when you begin to have some of these symptoms of stress is talk to people who listen to you. I mean, because some of your stress at times may not even be, like I said, may not be far-reaching. It may not be anything complicated. It may just be you have a task that is taking so much of you and you don't know your way around it. And then you talk to someone who guides you as to what to do. So if you have a mentor who listens to you, who is good, who can guide you through something, because again, at times you need to identify what exactly is it that is stressing you. Is it the work environment? Is it the people you work with? Is it the tasks you have to handle? Is it life generally? And so whatever your stress is determines who you're talking to. So at times, your stress could be relationship. You talk to the persons who can help you through that. So at that point, you don't even need to be seeing a professional, so to say. So if you have someone who listens to you, please talk to a friend. But remember, I emphasize someone who listens to you, because the flip side of things is that a friend could also be your stressor. If someone who may not know how to handle you could aggravate your stress. So be kind enough to yourself to identify people who listen to you. There is a track record, or there is an evidence to show that, over time, this person has given good counsel. This person has been able to guide me through what to do without necessarily judging me. Because in the middle of your stress, it's not that time you want someone to judge you, or someone to make you feel bad, or someone to make you feel worse than how you already feel. So it's important I use the word listening because listening is one of the characteristics of a good therapist. So I didn't say see a therapist now, because I also know that some stressors could actually be manageable at a lower level. Now, at the point whereby the stress now is building up to a mental state where it looks like, I'm beginning to have feelings of sadness, bitterness. I'm not going to use the word depression because we use that word loosely. Depression disorder is a diagnosed condition. So most times the feelings we have, the feelings of sadness or bitterness or all the downcastedness we have are not necessarily depression. It may be a phase of life we are going through that actually makes us unhappy. And then we just call it depression loosely because it fits. So at that point now, where you begin to have loss of interest, you cannot focus anymore, you cannot work optimally, you can't do the things normally you would do easily, you may begin to look towards getting to see a professional. And then they take you through a process and see what are the things that can be done. So again, in seeing a professional, at times you don't even need medications, because at some point of intervention, it's just to work out a plan for you. And like I always tell my clients, your therapist is not a magician. Your therapist will work with you to elicit things. You will follow the instructions. The same way your doctor will tell you, take 2 pills daily, 3 times daily for 7 days. Your therapist will give you things to do. If you don't do them, nothing changes. So yes, you can talk to a friend, you can talk to a therapist, and at some point, you may need to see a doctor if there are needs for prescriptions.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Jonah. I
We
can.
almost lost you there. All right, great.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Now, while you were talking, you talked about depression, and I was actually going there, right? Now, so
Yeah.
at what point, right? So you said when depression, it has to be diagnosed, right? So at what point does someone move from being stressed into being depressed? Is there a thin line, or is there a gap between you being stressed and you graduating into depression?
Okay. So mental illnesses can actually they actually occur with different you can have multiple mental health issues. Let me put it that way. Somebody with depressive disorder can actually have other disorders, can have anxiety, can have other mental health issues, right? So now stress can be a factor that precipitates some of these things. So I won't say that stress will cause depression, but stress can aggravate, because depressive disorders has other underlying issues that could compound to become depression. But stress could trigger it. And so remember, we talked about chronic stress. We're not talking about day-to-day stress, please. But chronic stress now is a buildup of so many other underlying things that might have happened. So a poorly treated people's physical condition, other life issues, people with borderline personality, and all of these things. So by the time all of these are put together, stress could actually trigger some of the mental health issues we are talking about. So please, not a mental disorder in any way, because stress is part of life. It is now when it becomes a chronic condition, and that point now you want to know if it's coexisting with other mental health concerns, and then you deal with it. So stress could happen as a result of so many other things, and then someone could actually be chronically stressed and also be depressed and have anxiety.
All right, thank you very
But
much.
I will also be quick to say that in issues like anxiety, there are tendencies for people to have stress-related issues in terms of when people are stressed by life events, like they are worked up by normal day-to-day situations. Everything around them just scares them, comes with fear, comes with worries and all of that. That also could be a telltale sign to show that there might be underlying anxiety disorders. So stressed out people could have some other mental health issues underlying, especially when the normal things, the things that stresses them are normal day-to-day things that people are coping with, people can walk through them, but you just find out that they can't just deal. Everything works them up. At that point now, there will be need for psych evaluation to be sure what the problem could be.
All right, great. Before I go on, I think Mr. Anthony has a question for you. He's putting up his hand. Mr. Anthony, you have the floor. You can go ahead and ask your question. Mr. Anthony. if you have questions, you can drop it in the chat box. We can pick it up from there. If
Okay.
all right, sir, go ahead. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, please. I want, madam, I want to actually share a scenario, and where I worked before, a corporate organization, and I want to share it, and I want madam to diagnose it so that we can share maybe best practice as the case may be. I used to work for a corporate organization some years back, and I observed that the daily tasks I had to put up with was getting the better part of me. And to cap it all, I hardly, you're hearing me? Are you hearing me?
We can hear you, sir. Please go ahead.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, to cap it up, at times I'm denied my annual leave because I'm a human person, I'm a family person. And I observed that when I work for 3, 4, 5 months without seeing my family, I get easily irritated. If you talk to me, I go into mood swings and all that. And I tend to get very, very angry at little jokes and all that. And each time I observe this, I want to take a leave to be with my family, but most of the time I'll be denied my leave. Eventually, when I'm given the opportunity to go see them, when I come back, I see that I become approachable, I become more lively. Can you diagnose this situation, and what do you think may have happened? Because I know even in that organization, we talk about work-life balance, but in essence, I do not think it was practiced. So can you say something about this as a professional?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Anthony. What you just described is straightforward work and life. It's stress and burnout. And luckily for you, you understand that once you go see your family and get back, you feel a lot better. It's pretty straightforward. And if you were on when we started, we talked about some of the things stress could cause. People become irritable, easily angry, impatient with people, and maybe lack of interest. At that point, you don't even want to be in the office. Everybody annoys you. When they throw a joke at you, you don't even find it funny. You can't see any funny part of anything because you just feel someone is pushing you too hard. And so that's why we said you listen to your body. So now that you know, so for you now, family for you is a distressor. It's something that can help you through stress. So when you are stressed up, you know that family time could help. When you need that break, you already know that it's about time for me to see my family. In fact, I always encourage that. Don't even wait until your body starts giving you that signal because you may not be so lucky. So what you can do is to just tell yourself that, especially for people who don't stay with their families, you just tell yourself that at X time, I must go home. At this particular time, I must take my leave. So I also understand that employers at times can be driven, even when you get to hear all the work and life balance preaching and all of that, takes a bit of a lot for people to actually stick to the agreement or whatever it is they might have signed in the employment papers. But I also think that we must also get to that point too as employees to let people know that I need this time off because I'm not doing well. So again, conversations, communications, and needing to do what you have to do to stay alive, because we've also had people who slumped and died on these same jobs. And interestingly, these jobs will continue. So you need to also be selfish enough to take care of yourself and negotiate well to ensure that your employers also respect the other part of the bargain. Even if I can't get as much days as I'm asking for, give me a few days to take time to rest and recuperate from this work. And when we also get out of these jobs, that's not the time to also, it's just interesting being a Nigerian. You take your leave to go and do another side hustles that even gets you worked up before you return back to the job, and you still come back, you are still tired, So I feel that we need to care so much about ourselves to a point where you tell yourself, I need to rest. Turn off your phone. And if you can't even turn off the phone, tell yourself that for the next 2 hours, I will not look at my phone. This money, I don't know, but I know it's a very tricky conversation to have, but we need to actually get to a point whereby we need to take care of ourselves, and nobody should talk you too much into why you need to take care of yourself. It should be a priority for you. And if we also evaluate ourselves well enough, you will notice that maybe you do better after you have a good rest. Good rest could be you ate good food, you took care of yourself, you stayed out of work, your laptop is closed. There are times I do that. Laptops shut down, nobody should call. Everybody that needs to call me, I've already told them that I'm going to be unavailable for the next, it's your time to just get your head together. And if you live in Lagos, really, if the generators are not killing you, the noise of the car, the traffic and all of that, you need to get time out of Lagos. Even if it's a day or two, just get out of Lagos.
Correct.
Inhale, exhale, out, and get your life back together. And then come back, you will see the difference.
Thank you very much. Mr. Anthony, did that answer your question? I won't believe that was profound. Did you get anything out of that?
Yes, I did.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Any other question? Is any other person raising up his hand, his or her hand? You can just drop your questions in the chat box while we continue the conversation. All right. Okay, so let's just pick it up from where we stopped. Okay, so now we've talked about a whole of things. We've talked about stress, anxiety, mental breakdown. We've talked about survivor kits. We've said a lot about self-awareness, self-audits, and all of that stuff. Now, like you rightly said, sometimes it could be your friend that is even stressing you out. It could be your work environment. It could be your boss. I've been in some environments that just when you are angry going to work. You're not happy going to work because you just know that, oh, it's Monday again. Sometimes you're going to work on a Monday morning and you're excited. Sometimes you are going to work on a Monday morning and you're asking yourself, oh Lord, not again. So the question now is, how do I protect my mental space? Because you get to work, you cannot just interact with this boss that is stressing you out. You get to certain environment, you get home, somebody's stressing you out and all that. So how do you protect your mental space?
Okay, so protecting your mental space could be a tall order, but then you need to do what you need to do. And an example is you have a very toxic employer, you have a toxic work environment, you need the job, you need the money, the bills are waiting. So quitting your job may not be something you want to do there and then. And that's work colleague is also someone you can't sack, someone you need to interface or interact with daily. So some of the things I would prescribe is that, number one, I'm an advocate of being diligent at what you do. So if you're manning a space or you are owning a space, please do what is required to keep that space. There will be limited interface with even a toxic boss if you're doing the right things. I'm not saying it's a golden rule. Some people are just defaultly toxic. Whether you do the right or wrong, they are just on you. But do your own bit by ensuring that everything that needs to be done is done. So you have limited interface with them. Number two, I always say that we can be cordial. We don't have to be friends. So don't foster any form of, I don't believe that workplace we are family. Workplace is a team. Do your teamwork and get out of that place. So you can set boundaries around your life and your space. And so what joins us together is work. We can stick to that work and get it done. So no extracurricular, no extra effort of trying to allow someone say things that are unpleasant to you. So if our relationship is work relationship, I'm very sure that we can have less interface on whatever does not concern you. So if I do my work well, you are less likely to be able to say anything not pleasant to me, right? And in building your survival kit too, music does it for some people. So faithful headphones and all of that, you know, don't put it too loud so that you can hear when people are trying to talk to you, because that's another thing that could actually cause issues. When they are talking to you, you're not listening, or you're doing what are you saying, and all of that. So some way, just balance it out. Don't disturb people with your music, but have your headphones if music is your thing. I use the word if music is your thing. The deep breathing exercise I said is something that comes in handy for a lot of people, and it's pretty easy. I could even just say it now. You breathe in, count to 10, you breathe out, count to 15. That's all. You do that in 2 minutes every time you feel hyperventilated or you feel worked up or someone is annoying you. And so you can do this several times in a day. Deep breathing, breathe in, hold it, count 1 to 10, breathe out, hold it, count 1 to 15. Pretty easy. Very, very, very useful. Helps you with anger, helps you with that person you feel like slapping, but you cannot slap. Don't slap anybody, you lose the job, and you have violence and abuse issues to deal with. Now, I also prescribe for those who are spiritual. People pray, people have mantras, people chant things and all of that. Whatever it is that works for you, just tell yourself. An example, you can just say, oh, not today. I'm not going to let you take over my space. You're saying it to yourself, oh, I'm going to be in charge of the day. My head is here. My spirit is here. Just chant whatever it is that works for you, words of affirmation, however way these things come in useful for you. And then if you are someone who also exercise, I encourage that as well. It helps. And most times when we hear exercise, some of us think that you have to mount, you have to be in a gymnasium, or you have to be on a running, you have to be in a stadium, or whatever it is. Exercise at times could just be a 10 minutes walk, a 10 minutes dash, 100 jumping jacks, you know, just something to make your heart race a bit. And some of those things just have a way of stabilizing you and putting you together. And find time to understand what are those things that works for you. For some people, they like to spend time with nature. I made mention of that before. Some people like to volunteer. They like to give back. As in, they want to help other people through some of the things they've gone through. So when I was introducing myself, I said, I came into mental health because of the mental health crisis I had. So for every time I hear things around mental health, I warm towards it because it's something that interests me. I'm very enthusiastic about it. And I want to just tell people that you can get through it. Those little things you think are not useful, you know, helping someone out through crisis, giving back to the society. These are some of the things that could actually help you. And then when somebody is just coming with his craze, you just tell yourself, not today, not me. You will not drag me down into that point where you are. So I understand. In a workspace, you can't sack these people. You can't leave your job because somebody makes it really very hard for you. But if it gets to a point where it becomes unbearable, you may need to make a choice. I'm not going to tell you what that choice would be, but you will get to a point where you will tell yourself, this is actually between life and death. Some workplaces are actually death trap. I'm sorry to say, but it is what it is. Some workplaces or the people in that workplace are actually, it gets so bad that if you're not careful, people slip into anxiety, disorder, and other mental, be sane and be able to get another job than to actually end up becoming a monster because you need to keep things together and be in a very toxic environment in the name of a job. Some people are very toxic. They say very harsh things to you every day. You listen to these things, they get into your subconscious, you begin to, you know. So if you place, so that's why we also said at the beginning, listen to your body. So the moment you begin to notice that you begin to feel suicidal, you begin to feel that what kind of life is this? You are going to a job, you are miserable, you come back sad, you can't enjoy every other thing around your life. Man, you need to give it a second thought. It's about time to take that move. Leave, or else you'll be a mess at the end of the day.
Thank you very much. Thank
It's
you.
not easy, but it is what it is.
True, true, true. I think you just hit the nail on the head there. Sometimes you need to make the, it might be hard,
Yeah.
but sometimes you just need to do it when you know you've gotten to that point. Fun.
Mhm.
Well, you talked about slapping that annoying coworker. Guess what? October
What?
23rd, 2021 is the day when you can slap your annoying coworker. So it's called Slap Your Annoying Coworker Day. You can Google it and check. It's actually the day
So
when you
let's
can.
all wait for let's all look forward to October 23rd. Laugh at your
All
own
right,
detriment too.
that's just on a lighter note. Please, I'm not advising you to slap your coworker anyway. But if you Google it, that's what Google says. I think it's an international day where you can slap that annoying coworker. Now, all right, thank you very much, Progress. I think you've actually done a very great job this evening. The last question I have here is, what can I do to avoid stress and mental anxiety? Well, before you talk about that, I want to say, I want to believe, I don't know if there are still questions. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat box. Um, we need to give ourselves time to take care of ourselves. Now, surprisingly, we live in a situation currently where you go to the market today, right? The price of engine oil, let me use that as an example, is just going up every day. I remember it was 5,000 some time back or thereabout, or 4,000. Now, if you go to the market today, it's almost like double the price, right? Now, that's same for every other thing you'll find in the market. Now, it's not coming easy on everyone. It's affecting everybody. And when you go out there, and you question you keep asking yourself is, what are the options? What do I need to do? It's the salary is not increasing basically, right? But inflation is going up. Now, it's affecting us. It's it's stressing us out. It's burning us out. Chris, what can we do?
That's a tough one, but we need to survive. We need to stay alive to see better times. And I always say that surround yourself with people who are going to where you're going to.
Mm,
It helps when we can all share in so having the feeling of I'm not alone. We're all Nigerians. So what you've just said is a common factor to us all.
mm,
The impact may not be exactly the same.
yeah.
So when you hear people also talk about their stress, you don't take it personal that, oh, it looks like things are not just going on well for me. So surround yourself with people who speak positivity, people who see hope, people who see better times ahead. And, of course, when we talk about better times, the truth is that we don't know when it's going to happen, but we can just trust the process. We can just trust and keep hoping that times will change, and then all of these things would be something we'll talk about in the past. I also talk about being able to know your limits. So you don't live life in a competitive form. You need to understand what works for you and not what works for other people may exactly work for you. So if you know that, so an example now, which I know one major cause of stress now and maybe potentially anxiety would be the cost of living now has skyrocketed, and we don't even know if it's going to get better. Every day you look at exchange rates, even plus those of us that don't even have dollars, or you don't even need dollar. When you just hear, they just paste the thing, you just see it again, you just ask yourself that, hey, because for every rise in the dollar, tomato price would increase. Pepper price will increase, rice will increase. So even when you're not spending dollars, but you just know that the impact shows on every other thing you do. So you need to just adjust your life to the reality. If you used to eat 3 times before, you cannot be eating 3 times anymore. This is a good time to start dieting or fasting or choosing some options of things that can work. That's a joke, but then it's something you can look into that. You can't be eating like, the world is coming to an end anymore, because you just need to understand that if you don't adjust, it will get at you. It would. So if you were someone who maybe normally your transport cost or your data cost, your internet, I'm just citing examples of things that people could cut down on. You need to begin to look at how do we cut down on things. If your DSTV subscription used to be certain bouquet, you better go and do the one that it will not look like you can't watch anything, but then you can still watch, but not necessarily having to spend the same amount of money. So I'm basically just saying that you need to cut down on your expense to be able to survive the times. It's just a simple logic. If you used to drive around Lagos before, now you know this is not the time to be going everywhere. Every party they call you, you are there. You need to just cut down on buying all the things you are buying to be in people's places and all of that. These are things. And self-care is that point whereby you dedicate a time to yourself. So I said all these little things around there, but we need to learn the habit of self-care. That moment when you just lie down and be playing music and tell everybody, please, leave me alone. I want to take care of myself. So if you have money to go to the spa, please go get a massage. That thing does wonders. It does wonders. It's a detoxifier. If you are overweight, it's a good time to begin to see how you can lose weight. It also helps with distressing and it helps to detoxify the body. If you haven't been eating healthy, try to just start from somewhere, even if it's learning how to eat 1 or 2 servings of fruits in a day. And when I say 1 or 2 servings, I'm not even asking for too much because 1 small apple is a serving. 1 pawpaw or 1 banana strand is a serving. Now, you will be shocked at some banana, for instance, is a mood booster. Apples are known to contain immune boosters. So you can imagine this little teeny tiny efforts you put into taking care of yourself, how you just begin to feel healthy. And a healthy mind is a healthy body at the end of the day. So the less sickly you are, the less stressed you are, because like I did make mention, some physical health conditions could actually trigger stress. You're just popping pills all the time, your blood pressure is all over the place, and you can't just get yourself together. These are things that could stress you because it will affect productivity. So all these little efforts, before you even start beginning to seek a therapist intervention, there are things you can do for yourself. And then you see the power of relationships. So when I talk about relationships, I'm talking about both coupling, friends, partners, or whoever. The people you have in your spaces as your cheerleaders, what are they saying to your life? Are they aggravating the problems of your life, or they are relieving you of some of this stress? So some of us need to actually say bye to some people. I was talking to my partner yesterday. I said, block button. He said I was too mean. I said, this mental health thing we're talking about, when you just notice that somebody, the only thing they bring into your space is negativity, please, the technology of block button was not a mistake. You need to sieve out some people out of your space. For now, I can't deal with you and the energy or the vibes you bring to my space, so I need to mute you for a while. You mute their updates if you can't block them. You block their status, you can't see them, so they don't even get you worked up, And then also know the people who feed your soul. There are people who speak life to you, who make you comfortable, who see the strength in you, who harness those things. Have them more around you. They have a way of propelling you. So even in your lowest moment, they can still tell you that you got this, you'll be fine. Just take a break, recalibrate, and get back to work. So all of these little things will definitely contribute and serve as a survival kit. I have people I call when I just have those down moments. Not necessarily because they will solve my problem, but because they will listen to me and say, girl, you got this, do X, Y, Z, and let's see how that goes. So
thank you very, 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 very much. Actually, our time slot for the roundtable talk, whenever we have this session, is just 1 hour. Just to recap, I'm just going to recap, and I think there's a question. We'll take that question and we'll call it a day. If you have any question, it is the right time to just quickly signify so that we can take your questions. Now, basically, what has been said all through today has been, 1, we have good stress or bad stress, or rather, let's take the question quickly, and I'll just recap and we'll call it a day. So Philomena, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much, Auntie Progress, for that wonderful talk. I think I've learned a lot. So my question is, we know in this country of ours, or generally, women have been, sorry, excuse me.
That's fine.
Sorry, it's the baby.
No,
Yeah, we know that in this part of the world, people just carry this belief that women are built in a way that they should be able to multitask. So you are a mother, you are a wife, and you also have a career, right? And I know that a lot of women are stressed because you're saddled with, you're back from work, all the hours spent in work, and then you come back home, you're saddled with taking care of the family, you still have like your own personal things that you really want to do. So what would be your advice for such kind of women, so that because I know a lot of women are stressed, but
yeah.
because we actually believe that, okay, oh, women are built in a way that they have to
Mm.
multitask. So you just keep pushing by the day. And, it's weighing you down, but you don't want to say, so that, they believe the African woman is a strong woman, unlike,
Yeah.
people from the other side, that is kind of like a shared responsibility. But in Africa, I think everything is just all about the woman, and the man can cross his legs, feel cool after work, and then the woman comes from work and she's saddled with all of those responsibilities. And it's like a daily thing in the life of the woman. She's breaking down, she's wearing off by the day, and she doesn't have anyone to talk to. And for some persons, it's so bad that, well, they do not have like maybe any family member around, because everyone is busy, and maybe the younger ones are in school and all of that. And then with the current trends of what we hear about housemaids, right? Most women are also still cautious of, getting a maid. What would be your advice for such a woman?
Okay. Well, like you rightfully said, these are the realities of today. But I also think that women are already speaking up. It's not just enough. And maybe women have to support women more to allow them speak their truth. So what I would tell women is that speak your truth. If you are tired, say you are tired. If you are dying, say you are dying. It's no longer a battle of, there's no award for most suffered because you are the most suffering woman. There's a special award for you when your mates are enjoying life and you just wear out, and because you're busy serving the world and thinking because you serve the world, at the end of time, they are going to tell you the virtuous woman who served the world and lost her life or lost her soul. There's no special award for that. So what I would tell women is that stress is no gender respecter. Stress does not know gender. Stress isn't gender specific. And if you feel overwhelmed, please ask for help. Because I also have been opportune to speak with men, and you will hear men say things like the women are not asking for help. Or even when they offer to help, the women keep complaining and saying all sorts, and then the men will just recline and say, I don't want to wahala. So we women also need to get to a point whereby allow him to burn the food. Let's all eat it burnt offering like that. Allow them contribute. They are not helping you. We are doing it together in partnership. If the work is too much for you, please ask for help. If you can't do it anymore, say, I will not be able to juggle motherhood, career, and taking care of the home front. I will need help. Help could come in whatever quotas anybody wants to recommend. If you are the one that wants to join me in the help, or you want to outsource the home front in terms of taking care of the house, let that be discussed. So the truth is that we cannot shave the hair behind the owner of the head. So if women need help and you're listening to me this evening, it's about time you tell yourself, I'm worthy of help. Stress is not gender specific. I've not come to this world to serve anybody or work and die. I would ask for help whenever I need it, and I will not feel guilty I'm asking for help. If you need a break from that baby that is crying, give the baby to the father of the baby. Lock door and sleep. If you die, the father will take care of his baby. I'm sure nobody is angry at me for saying this. So the truth is that at every point, ask for help. Do not walk alone. The men are willing to come through. They are not helping. We are collaborators. We are co-parents and co-husband and wife, co-partner, or co-whatever we decide to do. Let us work together to ensure that nobody is overworking. Or even if we then both feel that the stress is on both sides, then let's outsource and get help. Life isn't that deep. Women should ask for help. Honestly, if you want me to teach you, reach me, I will tell you how to get help. If I say it here now, these men, they will tension me. So.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Progress, for that response. For me, if you ask me, I think it still boils down to what we're talking about, self-audit. Now, I wrote down some things right where you were talking. Self-audit, what that means is you, first of all, understanding the situation, understanding yourself. Then that helps you become aware. When you become aware of your situation, of your environment, of the challenges, right? If you go back to most of the things we've said on the roundtable talk, you first of all have to you step back and you do an evaluation of the situation. Now, it is not enough we all face challenges, we all face the stress. You go back, you do step back 5 by 5. That's something I always recommend. You look at the situation, you evaluate the situation, then you profile solutions. Now, I was in a class just before I joined this, and the facilitator was saying that nothing works by just mourning about it. You have to strategically take actions about whatever the challenges are. So if you're going through that situation that was just described, where you need help from your partner and you're not getting it, I think I would encourage you go back to one of the videos the moral or morals of an ambitious woman. We've talked about that here in the past, the moral or morals of an ambitious woman, where we had a lot of women come on board and they shared their story. So I will encourage everyone on this in this call, or every woman here, to watch that video. Profound solutions, profound insights from women in the corporate world working, and we are providing solutions, telling us about what they face, right, and how to go about it. I think you do a step back 5 by 5, look at the challenges, profile solutions, and you act on it. Now, thank you for everyone that has contributed. Thank you, Mr. Anthony. Thank you, Philomena. Thank you, Progress, our speaker for today. It has been insightful. So I'll just quickly do a recap. This is we're already at the top of the hour, 12 minutes above the top of the hour. And I want to thank everyone that has attended and everyone that has shown up. Thank you very much. I want to believe it has been insightful. If you believe you've gotten something, or if you've actually gotten something from this, just by way of appreciating our guests, just type 111, just a round of applause for her. Quickly type 111. If you think you've gained 1 or 2 things from what she said, please appreciate her by typing 111 in the chat box. I want to believe I'll see a lot of 111s down. Please kindly do that. Appreciate her. Kindly say thank you, Progress. I want to believe there might be some persons here that might also want to reach out to you. I don't know which is best, your phone number or your email address, or you want them to reach out to us while we contact you. You can unmute and just tell us. Supposing they want to contact you. Your email.
My email was.
Okay.
Yes.
Kindly drop your email in the chat box. Just drop your email. So anybody that wants to reach out, that's also one of the essence why we'll do this. Also, we'll sing your song as well. So drop your email in the chat box so anyone can reach out to you. So let me just recap. We have good stress and bad stress, and it gets to a point when stress has an adverse effect on you, and it can deteriorate to the point whereby it begins to affect your mental state. However, she also said that you need to watch out for early signs. Now, those early signs could be you waking up from bed, you're not feeling like going to work, you're waking up from bed, you just feel like you still have eye bags, you're losing focus. Those are early signs, and these early signs is not cast on stone. It differs from person to person. Now, you also need to, I think what we need to take home this night is this. I think everyone on this call needs to do a self-audit. You need to just look inwards and just ask yourself, what are those things that really, really, really stress me out? You need to identify those things. Now, your inability to identify those things, you will become stressed without you knowing. Progress, talk to me. Am I correct? Some people actually are stressed and they don't know they are stressed. Now, they actually begin to understand that they are stressed when it begins to affect them adversely. That's when maybe when you fall sick, right? I think one of my staff is here. I asked her to go on leave and she didn't until she broke down. At that point, she knew she needed to rest. Okay, so we really need to we need to understand ourselves. That self-awareness is key. Then another thing that came out very, very clearly is you taking care of yourself. You need to take care of yourself. You need to take care of yourself. That me time is something that we really do not do. We need to take care of ourselves. It's very, very important. It's very, very important. Sometimes now she said, which came out clearly, there is no award for the most stressed human being. There is no award. Now, truth be told, sometimes the environment you find yourself might not support you enjoying some of this or doing some of these things we have said. Now, what you now need to do is now to think of ways it will work for you. And that's why we are human beings, right? We're not just stereotypes, we are human beings. That's why you now need to sit down. Now, this is what I want to do. You now need to develop a system that works for you. There's a whole lot I would have loved to talk about reinventing and how to make things work for you, but that's a story for another day. I think with what I've said, I've been able to cover that in way by way of summarizing most of the things you've said. I want to say again, Progress, thank you very much for coming on board, and we look forward to having you on another topic sometime in the future. Thank you very much for everyone that's here. Mendos, I see you. Faith, Cynthia, I see you. Blessing, Anthony, Basi, Olusheyi, Philomena, I see all of you. I can't read all the names now, but I want to say thank you for coming. Thank you for joining, and do have a splendid night rest. Sunday, I see you. Temitokbe, Tosin, Pastor Bayo, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for coming. Now, do have a splendid evening.
Thank you, everyone.
I've been down the road where failure seemed familiar. No one thought that I would ever come this far. When everything was challenged.